What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Realizing That You're Old. As always, I'm your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about Bronny James. The Bronny James sweepstakes is officially beginning, I guess you could say. The NBA Draft Combine is currently underway at the time of this recording. Bronny James went out to the combine. He got measured at the combine. He had some athletic measurements taken at the combine as well. Even though we don't know for sure what is going to be in his future, whether he is going to actually keep his name in the draft pool or pull it out and go back to college for another year. I haven't talked about Bronny James on this channel quite yet, only because he hasn't really shown us much on the basketball court. There really wasn't anything to talk about outside of the speculation of where he's going to go, where he's going to potentially play with his dad. There hasn't been anything notable until now. There is a basic scouting report from him. He is very athletic. We knew this before he went to the combine. He has solid size as well for the point guard position, which was corroborated by his measurements at the combine. Probably the biggest thing is that he is the son of arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. That in and of itself is enough for teams to want to take a look at him. But this video is going to be more about what I see Bronny James evolving into as a player, not necessarily so much him potentially playing with his dad. That is a huge storyline that a lot of people are running with. But it seems that there are more than just the Lakers interested in working out Bronny James. Shams Charania went on the Pat McAfee show the other day and said that he knows of, quote, at least two or three teams outside of just the Lakers that want to schedule workouts and have meetings with Bronny James. I would not be surprised if more and more teams begin to align themselves with Bronny James. I think some of them are going to do it for the more disingenuous reason of signing him or drafting him means that LeBron potentially comes to play for your team, and LeBron signing with you alters the direction of any franchise. But I do, however, believe that there are GMs and organizations that have the best interests of Bronny's future at heart, even though there really isn't much to go off of. Of course, in order to participate in the combine, he got cleared medically. He seems to be well recovered from that cardiac arrest he suffered last year, that very frightening cardiac arrest that put his freshman season in jeopardy. Bronny James went to USC, did not really perform that well, shot below 40% from the field, below 30% from three, averaged like 5 points per game, didn't really give scouts much of anything. And as a result, people were not too optimistic about him getting drafted highly in this year's draft. I don't think that's an indictment against him. He's 18 years old. Not everybody, regardless of who their parents are, not everybody is going to be able to be an NBA ready star at 18, 19 years old. It just doesn't happen. It takes time for these guys to develop, even with all the potential that Bronny has. I have always been, I think, a little bit more pessimistic on him being a star. I think I might just be tempering my expectations of him because being the son of LeBron James, there is a lot of pressure put on you. There are lofty things expected of you. And I just don't think that Bronny is going to be able to reach anywhere near the level of his father. However, I do think that Bronny James has the potential to be a very good NBA player and a guy who contributes meaningfully to elite teams. He measured 6'1.5" without shoes at the combine, which puts him at around 6'2.5". We'll bump him up to 6'3". He has a wingspan of I think like 6'7" and a quarter, and he's got a 40.5-inch vertical. He has the physical tools and the athleticism to be a lockdown defender, I think. He potentially could be an all defensive caliber guard at the next level if he chooses to apply himself on that end, and I don't think that that is going to be an issue. I don't think defensive effort is going to be an issue with Bronny because effort has never been an issue with LeBron, and there is some degree of teaching and some degree of passing on to that to Bronny. So at the bare minimum, I think that an appropriate comp for Bronny is Lonzo Ball. And I'm talking about Lonzo Ball now, not Lonzo Ball when he was originally coming out of UCLA. Bronny's passing is admired by pretty much all of the scouts that I've read who have made up reports on him. And of course, he can work on his 3-point shooting. That's a very easy fix because his jump shot is not busted. It ultimately just comes down to repetition with him. You get a guy who plays defense, facilitates, and knocks down the three, and you will have teams barking to sign him when he reaches his peak when he's around 25, 26 years old. Lonzo Ball, even though he's been ravaged by injuries, when he's healthy, he is a key contributor to the Chicago Bulls, and he takes their ceiling to a new level because all three of those skills that Bronny possesses are crucial to building an NBA team. If he goes to a team that already has a star player, they're going to need a guy to run with the second unit, to facilitate with the second unit, to space the floor for when that said star player is on the court, and also to potentially D up somebody like a Kyrie Irving, like a Damian Lillard. Those physicals, I wouldn't be surprised to see him matched up on Anthony Edwards somewhere down the line. Whenever I talk about Bronny James, it's stressed that he's not going to go in the first round. I think that a team would probably, I don't want to say foolish to draft him in the first round. It all comes down to the organization, but I think that he will be a much safer pick in the second round where you will have some additional time to allow him to develop. He's not, because when you're drafted in the first round, there is a trajectory that's expected of you, and that trajectory sometimes hampers young players' development because of all of those because all of that pressure bearing down on you. When you're drafted in the second round, it's much more hands off. You can go to the G League, you can get all the necessary repetitions that you need, and that is ultimately why so many guys that have been drafted in the second round have blossomed into very good players on top of their requisite skill sets. I don't think Bronny goes undrafted. I think that would also be foolish if you're drafting in the 50s and no one's taken him yet. Draft that fucking guy. I would. I would. It doesn't matter. If I'm picking 50th or 51st overall, I'm picking Bronny James regardless of whether LeBron signs with my team or not, especially because I personally believe in him as a player. I just don't believe in the current timeline that he's on. I think that Bronny James would benefit from another year in college, another year of developing, another year of just basketball, low pressure basketball. It's weird to say low pressure when you are the son of LeBron James, but there aren't going to be that many expectations of him in college, I don't think. When you get to the NBA, again, it's different. You're a professional now. Teams want to contend for championships right away. And he's still very raw at this age. There is still some leaps that he can take offensively, and sometimes the development just doesn't work out in the NBA. But regardless, I think he's going to stay in the draft. I think he's going to test the waters. I believe he's going to get drafted in the second round. And looking 10, 15 years down the line, he might not make any all-star teams. He might not make any all-NBA teams, but I would not be surprised if Bronny James helped a team bring in a couple championships playing the same role that Derek White plays for Boston or that Drew Holiday plays for Boston. There is a lot of upside for him, but I don't know how many franchises earnestly believe in him as a player. And that is going to be crucial for his success because let's say you do draft Bronny James and you do sign LeBron thereafter. LeBron is only going to play 2, 3 years at 2 or 3 more years, maybe 5 maybe 5. But even then, what version of LeBron is that going to be? That's going to look like fucking Lakers Gary Payton. It's going to look like Kareem at the end of his career. Your focus will already be shifted towards developing young talent. I think I pray that Bronny goes to a team like San Antonio or maybe even Oklahoma City. Maybe not Oklahoma City, but a young team. I think San Antonio probably. I think that's going to be the team that I stick with. Maybe Portland, even though they do have a bunch of guards on that team already with Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. But again, I can't stress this enough. I believe that it's going to come down to what quality of development the franchises can give him, and hopefully people in the front office aren't fucking blinded by the ray of sunshine that is potentially signing LeBron James. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video. I thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do any of those three things, you will become my new favorite person. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.